The rest of the world discovered the selfie stick several years ago, and now I'm just catching up with technology. I can't believe I rejected it for so long. I just didn't want to be categorized into there's a guy with a selfie stick, but it's so useful. I think this format is good. I like walking while I talk because this motion creates some kind of emotion that I can actually do something with, because now I can record me rambling and then get it out of my head and put it straight into your head on the other side of the internet. I'm very happy with that. That's not all I wanted to talk about today. There's a bit more depth to it than that. What is that when people say It's like I've got to fill the space somehow. It's like I don't want somebody else to take the space of me talking, so I've got to make a sound that demonstrates I'm still occupying airspace, but there's nobody here. It's just snow and me. And the ice palace, look at that. Wow. Before this gets too convoluted, which I'm sure it will, regardless, maybe I'm trying to make it convoluted. Maybe that feeds me in some way. Maybe I'm just talking shit. I did want to talk about addictions to shame and addictions to victimhood, victimization. I know this because I've been there. I've been on both sides as well. So this kind of repression of the victim means repression of its opposite as well. Repression of the bear moth, the beast with teeth. And repression of the beast with teeth has led in me to a lack of self-respect. It's really interesting actually. I'm starting to put a few of these pieces together lately. If I'm not acknowledging that kind of beast within, that ugly, snarly, vicious animal nature, then I'm kind of a victim to all of those who are. If I don't think myself capable of terrible things, then I find it hard to stand up for myself. Like, of course I find it hard to stand up for myself if I don't think I'm capable of standing up for myself and being this kind of vicious and this kind of brutal. And I think that's in part what so many years of my life of martial arts training were about, was to try and tap into that, but it wasn't really directed in the right way. I never had a martial arts in the full sense of the word. It was more like MMA, which is great for release. I didn't yet come across a system that I was learning that taught me to be peaceful with it. Maybe I just wasn't ready for it, I don't know. It was a lot of yang and not a lot of yin, and I think it was reflective of me just wanting to release this power and externalize it and demonstrate that, yeah, I'm hard, don't fuck with me. There you go, again. And again. So, what was the point? I'll get better at these, just cut these bits out. Maybe the space between is more compelling. Anyway, you've got all this nice scenery to look at, so it's not like you're losing out. This is beautiful. So victimization and shame and addiction to shame. I think I'd identified with this thing for so long and I hadn't really fully acknowledged what I was capable of, and going through the MMA experience, because I didn't fully integrate it, I didn't fully have, I think I'm still integrating it now. All of the things that I'm kind of capable of. I didn't want to believe it. It was so far outside my acceptable identity. I'm not a violent guy, you know, I'm a nice guy. This is how I get my needs met. This is how I get my need for approval and love and respect met. I'm not this violent guy, I'm a gentleman, I'm a whatever. I think it was really challenging to me to witness. There you go. Challenge. think it's been very challenging for me to fully own and acknowledge the kind of things that I am and that I know I'm capable of in this kind of violent way. One shouldn't be aggressive or violent. And I think it got shamed a lot, or just for whatever reason, the circumstances in my childhood didn't necessarily permit it, you know. But anyway, I was just listening to some stuff by Jordan Peterson, and he was saying, don't say stuff that makes you weak. You gotta be so attentive and so discerning about this to recognize. If you want to recognize, like, you don't obviously have to do anything, but if you want to recognize this and come out of this, you've got to kind of recognize when you're draining your own energy with what you're saying, what things keep you in it and what things take you out of it. And it's really an objective thing, because it doesn't matter whether you're in it or out of it, really, but what's the quality of life that you're searching for, aiming for? I'm talking to me as well. What's the quality of life that I'm searching for and aiming for, and does this support it, or does this detract from it? And it's not so much about the words, the actual words themselves, but it is about the energy behind them. I've been wanting to learn, I've been wanting to learn foreign language fluently for about a decade now, and I've kind of dabbled in it, but I don't really want to learn. It's better for me to acknowledge that it's just not a priority, otherwise I'd be doing it. And I'm trying to recognize this, where my values, where my behaviors line up or don't line up with my words, because this is something that is really important. I've been saying things for a long time that just aren't really true, and I can tell that by the way that I'm acting. I can tell that things don't align properly, but I haven't wanted to really been looking at the way that I've been acting and make a very objective analysis of what things do I really value. If I had wanted to learn a foreign language, like I'd said I did, I would have been studying it daily. It's alright, okay, it's not a bad thing. It's me trying to justify it to myself. But there's a point at which I'm saying something and I'm doing something else, and there's a gap in between where I use shame to block out. I don't want to feel the pain of my divorce from the thing that I'm saying and the thing that I'm doing. The gap between my perceived identity, the person I'd like to think that I am, and who I actually am. So I use shame if I feel bad enough about myself. If I hate myself enough, then it's forgivable. It's just the recognition that this doesn't really support me anymore. I'm starting to recognize it now as an addiction. Like an identity is almost like a black hole, you know, it has a gravity, it has a magnetism that pulls you in, and you keep going round and round and round and round and round until you notice it, the light of consciousness gets shed on it, you turn around and you look at it, and you look right at it and say, this is it, this is what's been happening, and I'm not going to try to escape it through shame anymore. I might feel shame because that's a habitual thing, it's a habitual identity, but it's not the full extent of who I am. You know, it's a part of everything. I'm capable of it. This is another one of those things of looking at what you're capable of. I'm capable of shame, of feeling the victim, and it's all right. I can do that. It's not a problem that I'm doing that, but it doesn't support and align with the quality of life that I'm shooting for. And so in that case, it's not a big effort. It's setting up the structures in life that make it routine, that make it ritual, that take some of the chaos out of what is trying to happen, and just say, okay, every morning when I get up, I'm doing this, and this helps to remind me to do this, which helps to remind me to do that. And the more routine and the more structure I can make it, the easier it's going to be to change. And I've hated structure and routine. Like, I've spent my whole life rebelling against structure and routine because I felt there was too much of it imposed, but to acknowledge that feeling and be okay with it and say, hey, it's okay that you're struggling, it's okay that you're suffering. This is important. I think this is the job now, is to reparent yourself in a way that makes sense to you. That's probably about it, I think. What did I cover? An addiction to shame, an addiction to guilt, and identity cycles of victimhood. The victim gets a bad rap, actually, because it's almost like you learn about a victim pattern, or you learn about a domination pattern within you, and then the instant response is to reject that pattern, which actually spins the thing, but it kind of propels the motion of it. It's not to push against something, is to have it push back. It's just like laws of physics in that. Play it out, get to the end of it, go to the bottom of it, and recognize that on the other side of that is non-victim. It's important that I look at it, because if I don't, my life's gonna suck. There's a horrible, horrible place that you can go into life that has nothing to do with the outside world. Whatever you're complaining about, whatever I'm complaining about, has so little to do with that thing, and everything to do with my avoidance of fear, avoidance of pain, that just says, oh, I don't want to feel that intensity of emotion. Nobody's taught me how to go there in a safe, structured, respectable way. And this is kind of what we do with the inner dance and with therapy and everything like that, is to go there in a safe, structured, somewhat respectable way. Wow, I don't know if you're going to be able to capture this, but that's quite nice, isn't it? Switzerland. Safe, structured, respectful. What's the conclusion? Do whatever you want. Follow your bliss. So I saw this quote from Joseph Campbell, and he said, I should have said, follow your blisters. It's in discord with what life is offering. And you don't want it that way. You don't want to be happy all the time. You want a spectrum. Here's me telling you what you want. I'm probably just talking to myself, really, aren't I? Anyway, that's enough. Go and do whatever you're going to do in your life. Oh wait, I've got a button that does this.